You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek.
Altered Geek. Get altered. Geek. Altered Geek. From Star Wars to Star Trek, comics to tech. Altered Geek. Get altered. Geek. Altered Geek. Pull up a chair 'cause you're an altered geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host Steve Megatron Phillips, and in this episode I'm flying solo. But so there's quite a bit of stuff I want to cover today, so I'm going to kind of blitz through some of it. I actually shortened up what I was going to talk about, but so I was planning on doing a Wednesday episode, and it kind of never happened because I'm still recovering from some kind of a weird flu type of thing, where I was ill last week, and then I thought it was going away, and I was extremely nasally, and I've had sore throats and runny nose and all that fun springtime stuff, and it just wasn't feasible for me to do the episode. I'm hoping to correct that next week and do a double shot, but this is the Friday show that normally comes out, so getting right into it, there's a bit of superhero news, tech, Star Wars, some video games, and some just general news in general. So McDonald's, just recently, as of today, this Thursday, is going to start serving fresh beef. The fast food giant said Thursday that it will swap frozen beef patties for fresh ones in its Quarter Pounder burgers by sometime next year at most of its U.S. locations. Employees will cook up the never frozen beef on a grill when ordered, which would be kind of nice because it might actually make the burger taste better for how much it costs. But it says the biggest selling point at rival Wendy's has been that it's fresh beef. It says the world's largest hamburger chain for some time has been attempting to improve its image as more people shun processed foods. McDonald's has done other menu changes in its recent history. It says it has tinkered with its recipes, removed artificial preservatives from chicken nuggets, and removed high fructose corn syrup from its buns, which, again, all that added sugar and preservatives, not good for the body anyway, so the more natural they can make the food, the better. The key question is keeping it profitable for them and also keeping the prices low enough that people will actually pay for it. Because I'm not going to spend $8 for a hamburger either, or really $5 because I can go to an actual sit-in. I mean, granted, it's a sit-in too, so I mean, I guess it's okay if you're going to spend $5 on it and get a meal, or $7 to get a meal, but I would rather go to some place like Applebee's or something and spend $8 and get a tastier version. But who knows? Jumping into a little bit of tech stuff. Twitter apparently is developing an advanced tweet deck that would be available for monthly subscription fees and feature a range of new features. The only reason I came across this was because TweetDeck's URL quit working last week for whatever reason, and then it started working again. It says that the advanced TweetDeck will is exploring in the survey is $19.99 for a price. Complete list of features are exclusive content on social media, best practices and strategy, enhanced tools, exclusive priority customer support, the ability to manipulate multiple Twitter accounts, advanced publishing, advanced tools, ad-free experience, analysis tools for understanding topics, ability to access this experience on both desktop and mobile, ability to securely manage the account across multiple team members, and customizations as colors and layouts and whatnot. So it's an interesting concept. I don't know if I would pay for it. I currently use TweetDeck's web interface because of the fact that I manage multiple Twitter accounts, and I just like the look of it better. But that's just me personally. So the United States House of Representatives. I don't normally get into politics, but this is a tech-based politics. So, here we go. The House passed a bill undoing Obama's internet privacy rule on Tuesday. And it was in favor of blocking internet privacy rules passed by the FCC last year, sending it to Bill, who signed it. So it passed 215 to 205. The FCC rules would have given consumers greater control over what the internet service providers can do with their data by requiring those companies to get permission from customers before using their information to sell created targeted advertisements. The bill has not yet gone into effect. So yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword because everything I've read on this bill, it says the FCC more so controlled people like the ISPs, but they didn't control non-ISPs that collected a lot of data. And yes, I know that we pay for the ISPs, but the fact that Google, Apple, and all these other companies that we sign up with, yes, they're freely, but they're really not. Because if you're controlling companies like Verizon or Comcast or some of these other ones that have, or AT&T that have these wireless companies, you're still locked into an Apple or an Android phone for the most part if you want a smartphone, which means that these companies aren't getting regulated for having your information and having your privacy as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword either way. But they're saying that the FTC would be managing it across the board with all the companies, whereas the FCC would be only managing like the ISPs. So it's kind of a double-edged sword for me, but I don't know if I support it either way. I don't know. What do you guys think on that? Latest Windows 10 updates make it harder to dodge the updates. Because they want to make sure everyone has the same technology. So the Creator update is set to remove one of the ways users could control with their system, which was how to download and install new updates, which you were able to defer them or by setting a metered connection for like paid Wi-Fi or data. Unfortunately, they turned that feature off. There is no feature for that anymore. So you can't meter it if you're... So, like, if you're on mobile or Wi-Fi, you can't turn it off. Which makes me even more glad that I hacked my Windows 10, or I went into the registry and a lot of startup stuff and disabled my Windows updates a good 6-8 months ago. So, I have my functional Windows 10 that I can choose what I want to update and when I want to update and what I'm going to do. And I've kind of killed off anything that could get its way. I don't like Windows controlling me, and really any company for that matter. So when it comes to my data and my desktop, so it's kind of, I see this as a big crock of crap that they're further controlling it. Then I came across an article that says how to get your internet when your internet's down, which I had to do this recently. I had my Comcast go out for about 4 hours, and I, of course, work from home, so I need the internet to do my job. So I had to set my phone as a mobile hotspot and connect my I don't have a wireless adapter or Bluetooth built into my computer, so I had to plug it in USB and then have my computer connect through that to get on the internet. It was much slower, but it worked during that time period. So I was able to go down to bare bones of what I needed and bookmark everything else and close it out. So, but it did help. It worked really well. Intel plans to reinvent computer memory and keep it secret. They created the 3D Crosspoint, which it states that traditionally computers store data in two ways, with their hard drive for large amounts of data for long periods of time, and even with power off. And DRAM memory to, the right now, which is fast. But it was, more expensive and held less data. So the 3D Crosspoint can replace all these pieces, or so Intel says. They claim that it's truly transformational and allows architects, both at the PC level and the data center level, to rethink how they build the system. In other words, it would allow these companies to have faster, cheaper, and larger amounts of data. It's supposed to be... they've moved already past beyond the hard drives to significantly faster flash solid-state drives. And it says since these drives aren't fast enough in some cases, they've created a new breed of database that pushes massive amounts of data into memory. The Crosspoint can help in both those areas. According to Intel, it's about 1,000 times faster than flash memory and can store about 10 times more data than DRAM. Which, if you're somebody that's working on you're editing, or you're doing animation, or you're playing, or you're coding and you're processing a lot of information, this is going to be a beast. I'm sure it's going to be expensive, but this is going to be a beast. It's still unclear how fast the Crosspoint is relative to DRAM, but I guess we'll find out more about this. I'm kind of interested. Not that I could ever afford it. But yeah. So Battlefield 1 had an update on March 15th that cut spam by reducing the amount of grenades. I didn't read this before I got the expansion. And what it has done has... players could... this is prior to the update. Players could not only carry a greater amount of specific grenades, but also get constantly resupplied through ammunition crates and pouches. War is indeed hell. And was more so evident at choke points where both sides would continuously indulge each other in seemingly endless spam of grenades, which I'm pretty guilty of that too, because that was how I would take people on. Like, you could hold more handheld grenades and you could have more projectiles to launch. To address the issue, DICE has changed how grenades are resupplied in BF1. They can only carry a single grenade at all times, which replenishes automatically after a considerable period. Which, that I like that it replenishes even if you're not next to a supply pouch. I had that instance where I was a sniper in the game and I had my incendiary grenade come back on its own. It says sticking close to ammunition crates only reduces the resupply timer, but players must still wait before they can chuck the next grenade. Resupply timers as are follows. Frag 36 seconds, light AT 36 seconds, impact, and incendiary 36 seconds, gas grenade 27, mini is 24, smoke is 18. Resupplies are 3 times as fast near ammo crates, reduce smoke, gas, and mini grenade ammo from 2 to 1. Ammo pouches currently no longer supply grenades, so you have to have the big case of the ammo, not the pouches. It says, in addition, some of the numbers have been adjusted as well to make it harder for players to rack up kills through mindlessly lobbying. Increase the minimum time before explosion on a lot of the cases, and some of the damage has been increased or decreased based on what they are. And they also reduced the tripwire incendiary from 2 to 1, which I liked to plant around the map. I still do, it's just, yeah. So anyways, this marks the launch of the They Shall Not Pass. I'm not fond of the new map. It kind of reminds me of Operation Locker in a sense, because there's a lot of running around outside, and then there's a bit of an inside piece, but there's a lot more open ground, so it's very difficult. So I'm not sure if I like it yet, but I guess I'll have to play that a little bit more. But yeah, they've also added clan support for BF1 now. So it says that it was introduced last night for BF1 platoons. It says any player can create one. Yeah, it says ranges from 3 to 24 characters, and it's not exclusive for the name. You get a text field, you get to create the tag, the emblem. They're open, apply to join, closed. You can have general, colonel, lieutenant, and private. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm going to have to do that now and let my team know. So, that being said, I think I'm going to move on to some television. Or actually, I'm going to move on to movies first. So, the Power Rangers movie came out. Have not seen it yet. Want to see it. Despite the fact that things are massively changed, it looks like it's going to keep the heart of Power Rangers. So, it says if you enjoyed it, there's going to be 5 more movies planned. And they do have the Pink Ranger and original Green / White Ranger cameoing at the end. Which, funny enough, Jason David Frank got ejected from the premiere because he stood up and went to go take a photo of the reaction shot of the audience reacting to Amy and him, Amy Jo Johnson and him. And right after their cameo appeared, he got escorted out by security because he had a camera in the movie. And they tried to take his phone, and he's like, "You're not getting my phone." But yeah, it was kind of cool seeing them in there. And if you're asking, I saw a picture, not the actual movie. And they're teasing Lord Zed coming to the movies as well. I don't know if there's actually something to that, but should be interesting. Wreck-It Ralph has a second title released. And a release date. It's going to be called Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet for Wreck-It Ralph 2. It's supposed to be coming March 9th, 2018. So they're going to have everybody returning for the most part. The writer, the director, the producers, Ralph, Felix, Vanellope, and Sergeant Calhoun, which were the main characters of the film. So yeah, there's that. There's, of course, the new Batman and Harley Quinn animated movie coming out. And it's not... Some people were saying it was directed by Bruce Timm, but it's actually not. They corrected that. But it's going to be included on the... it's going to be coming out in July anyways. Nothing has been revealed about it. It's a Bruce Timm original. However... There's an image, I guess, thanks to the iTunes listing, and it's got Batman sitting next to Nightwing in animated fashion, like the Batman the Animated Series fashion, and Harley Quinn in the back seat of the Batmobile. So I'm wondering if we're going to see our original Batman the Animated Series voice cast, because it's in that animated style. It's almost from the New Adventures, except it's got the Justice League style animation to it. So I'm quite excited to see how this turns out. So I'm gonna have to check this out. But it's gonna be on the Teen Titans Judas Contract film as a teaser. So moving into a little bit of more awesome. The first shot of Reboot's reboot. And no, it's not CG, which is total garbage. It's called the new reboot is called Reboot the Guardian Code. And it's been in planning for nearly 4 years. Rainmaker Entertainment or Animation, currently the rights holder, failed to get a planned movie trilogy off the ground. They announced plans for a new series. YTV ordered a 26-episode run back in 2015, but there's been no news on it. Allegedly, the project has been filming since February this year. It says no actors or showrunner have been officially announced on the project. It's unclear how the new live-action reboot will tie into the original series, which was set inside a computer. The original series, CG sprites and other characters inhabited a city called Mainframe. I'm wondering if they're going to do like kind of a quasi mixing of the two. Like they're going to have them actually like control avatars, or if we're going to see everything from the inside of the grid with them. Which that could be interesting if they went like the Tron route with it. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to take this. So jumping gears again, apparently not apparently, this past weekend, Justice League's trailer dropped. Freaking awesome. Loved it. Looks pretty interesting. I know it had a little bit from the last one, but Aquaman looks like it's going to be really fun in this. But yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. And there's even a rooftop scene with the League and Commissioner Gordon, so it's kind of cool. Then there's, of course, the Maul vs. Kenobi thing in the Star Wars Rebels episode, which, if you haven't seen that, it's spectacular. Even though it's a very short fight, it kind of leads one thing to question. Maul asks Obi-Wan who he's protecting on Tatooine. And he asks if it's the Chosen One, and Obi-Wan said it is. So they're basically hinting that Luke is the Chosen One, the true Chosen One. So they're kind of playing it from a certain point of view type of thing. So they're rewriting the Chosen One antic. So could be pretty cool. And then they've also kind of mentioned that Snoke is a Sith no one knew existed. And it's an acronym. So that's kind of an interesting concept to put it together. And there's been speculation that Rey is Qui-Gon Jinn's granddaughter. Interesting. Doubt it, but interesting. Yeah, and then, people are speculating that there needs to be a Luke Skywalker animated series takes place after Return of the Jedi, which that I would get behind. Because it would cover a new era. And then you could have Hamill reprise his role and play himself, which would be even more cool, since he's a voice actor and all. Because he may not physically be able to go back in time, but he can play it on voice. Spider-Man Homecoming's trailer dropped too. Like the way that they're spinning the Vulture this time around with Michael Keaton with an axe to grind against Tony Stark. Isn't that always how it goes? And there's rumors that Spider-Man might exit the Marvel Cinematic Universe after the Homecoming sequel. So there's another rumor that's going around that it's false, but there's another one that's saying that it probably will after the Infinity stuff, or after Spider-Man gets a sequel. But yeah, it's interesting to think about. And Katie Cassidy, who played Black Canary and Black Siren, will be back to being a series regular on season 6 of Arrow. Not really to be surprised. And then, of course, CW's Black Lightning. There's a first shot of Cress Williams in the suit. I'm down with it. And it's kind of cool because you'll have an older hero that has been around for a while that will be in this universe. So, I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff going on in the world of superheroes and television. So, without further ado, I'm going to take a break and come back after this. You want to interact with the show? Well, you can get a hold of us in the following ways. You can email us, feedback@alteredgeek.com, or you can fill out the form on the website on alteredgeek.com. You can also get on the episode post on alteredgeek.com and make your comments there. You can, of course, get a hold of us on the social media, Facebook @AlteredGeek, or on Twitter @AlteredGeek. And, of course, you can find the show on the following locations. You can get it on iTunes, on Google Play, on Stitcher, and on TuneIn, Blog Talk Radio, as well as alteredgeek.com. And now, back to the show. And we're back. So, a few things to address. Since the break, I took a day in between, so the episode's actually releasing a little bit later than normal on Friday. So, Had quite a few things happen this week. We sold our car, which was pretty interesting. Never sold a car before. Usually just traded it in. So that was an interesting process. This one was a 2012 Chevy Sonic, white in color, LT. Never had a problem with the vehicles. Only had 59,000 miles, and it was a 2012, but we bought it in 2011, late 2011. Super nice car, but we ended up selling it for about $7,000 because we're trying to get our hands on another Equinox that's somebody we know is selling, and it was a pretty good deal on it. And it's an LT, and it's like a 2014 with like 59,000 miles, so it's kind of an even wash. It's just two new year difference, and then it's an SUV. With having two small children, it is difficult to fit two car seats, one rear-facing, one forward-facing, in a subcompact car, or in a compact car. And, yeah, it kind of sucked. And so, we do have an Equinox, and it's a 2016 LT, and it's silver, and this other one we're trying to buy is like blue. But it fits the car seats perfectly. Plus, we can fit other stuff in it. And I've been dying to get another like truck or type vehicle like that since I got rid of my 89 S15 back in 2008 to get my hands on a Pontiac G6. And it's been killing me. I've been wanting an SUV or like a truck, but not something like too extravagantly large. I'm not one of those people that likes like big vehicles. The Equinox is as big as I want to go with a vehicle. I don't really like bigger cars or trucks. I can drive them. I can drive things almost, borderline semi-level, just from working at the car lot. But this particular incident, like, I love this vehicle. I love how it drives. I love the feel of it. It kind of reminds me of my truck, but it's got that modern touch to it. So it's like if you mix my truck with my car, I would have this. So it's mighty nice. And then I love the USB and the Bluetooth capabilities because the other day I was sitting in my truck, my Equinox, and I was like, I wonder what I can listen to. And I didn't really feel like digging out my flash drive out of my pocket. So I Bluetoothed my phone to my car. And because they have, in these newer vehicles, they have, like, you can do AM, FM, Sirius radio. There's another service that's on there. I'm not quite sure what it is. I think it's the music one. Can't remember the name of it right now. My wife uses it. I want to say it starts with a P. But anyways, so that's on there. And then there's Stitcher. And I was like, oh, okay. So I turned on Stitcher on my phone because I hadn't listened to the top 100 countdown that just passed this past year. So I was sitting there because it's the only one I have not participated in. And I was kind of sad I didn't participate, but at the same time, I was so busy. There was no way I was going to put full concentration in. I did submit a list, which I may actually run down in the podcast today. But I have yet to complete the top 100. But anyways, what I'm kind of getting around to saying is I turned it on Stitcher on the app, and then I Bluetoothed my phone to my car, and then I changed the source from FM radio to Stitcher, and I was able to watch, or actually not watch, but listen to the podcast, which I thought was really cool. And I haven't done this in my car before. I've done it to like some of my Bluetooth devices around the house. That's kind of a speaker. So, in that regard, I kind of knew, but I hadn't tried it out before. And plus, you get to see the art of the podcast. You get to see the information. It's really nicely laid out, actually, and you can do like the thumbs up, the favorite, you can, all that, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatnot. So it's pretty cool to see it on your dashboard. And then it made me realize that I have to fix the art. Because it's like some older, like a year or two ago. And then, so I'm also in the process of, with all of this going on, I'm in my last month of school before I get my associate's degree, which I am stoked. I cannot wait for this to be over. I still have to go drop my math class, which I no longer need, so I can get a W withdrawal of it. But I got to wait till almost the last possible minute. Otherwise, I'm going to have to pay a buku amount of money. And then, so I'll have my degree come May, because, this is the end of March, beginning of April. So, yeah, that's coming up. And then I'm working on some new stuff with the website. And I've noticed, because there's certain things that have been going wrong lately, and it's impacting the site, and it's impacting my wallet. The site, because the way I keep moving it when I move it around hosts or I rebuild, I clone it. And so when I clone it to get the features or get things out of it that I need, it unfortunately clones a bunch of dead features in the site that haven't been built into the site in ages. Like, there's information about themes that aren't even on there anymore that are still built into the posts, and plugins, and it just stuff all the way dating back to 2009 when we opened the site. And so the site is just a travesty in the back end. And so it runs hellaciously slow, and there's a lot of bottleneck issues. So that being said, I'm working on a new version of the site. I'm working on also getting it so that all of the shows are restored, including our archived content. So you won't necessarily have to go to Blog Talk Radio to listen to it, but it will be pulling the feed and the podcasts themselves from that. I know it's a little bit technical for some people's taste, but so yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that, because I'm going to be able to restore like the Beast Unleashed and Legends of the Dark Knight and the Secret Origins podcast and Mass Mayhem and Tooncast Classic, Toycast, which never had episode 100, and then a plethora of other shows that are old they're going to be there. And then there's going to be some other changes to the website as well. I'm completely redoing everything from scratch. I'm not reusing anything. There's like 15 gigs worth of like graphics that are tied to the old site. And it's ridiculous, the amount of stuff, because when you use certain themes, it generates its own like sizing. And then you figure that I've changed the theme about 8 times since we've had the site online, and there's just a lot of issues in the back end. So I'm going to be rebuilding it. I am planning the GCRN Awards, which I'm going to be doing a little bit differently. I'm going to do it in June. And I haven't really told anybody this. I'm spitballing this here. I'm going to be planning it out for this month. I'm going to start it so that we could release it on our 8-year anniversary in June. The awards, we can have it released to the public. I'd like to get the stuff set up. I'm going to set up a submission form, much like the old way of doing it. I'm going to kind of set it up much in the same way that we've done it in the past. I have to rip apart that template and do it again, but I'm not sure what categories. So if there's some like specific categories or different things you'd like to see me cover in it, feel free to drop it in the comments of the episode. I've enjoyed it. I just didn't have time this year. Between school and just home life, like there was nothing I could do about it. So that's kind of why I let that go by the wayside. Unfortunately, that's kind of also killed the traffic because we haven't had anything to draw people. So yeah, I am going to run down my list of the top 100. I'm going to probably do my top 25 just because of what they are, and then I'm going to have you guys, those that listen to the top 100 or just your opinions in general, I'd like to hear of what you would have placed in your top 25. So again, I'm not sure where some of these landed, but starting with my top, I'm probably going to count down from my top 50 just because 50 I had Homer, 49 Wreck-It Ralph, 48 Raphael from Ninja Turtles, 47 Starscream, 46 Sully from Monsters Inc., 45 Garfield, 44 Secret Squirrel, 43 Slappy Squirrel, 42 The Shredder, 41 Mike Wazowski from Monsters Inc., 40 Winnie the Pooh, 39 George Jetson, 38 Woody, 37 Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z, 36 Leonardo from TMNT, Stewie Griffin 35, Donatello at 34, Fred Flintstone on 33, Dr. Claw 32, Skeletor 31, Mr. Incredible 30, Timon and Pumbaa 29, Mighty Max at 28, Kermit the Frog at 27, Wacko Dacko, Dacko, I mixed Dot and Yakko, Wacko, Yakko, and Dot at 26, Hong Kong Phooey at 25, Snake Eyes on G.I. Joe at 24, Cell at 23, Inspector Gadget 22, Freakazoid 21, Sergeant Slaughter at 20, Aladdin at 19, Vegeta at 18, Bender from Futurama at 17, Scrooge McDuck 16, Frieza 15, Duke 14, He-Man 13, Genie 12 from Aladdin, 11 Krang, 10 Buzz Lightyear, 9 Goku, 8 Bugs Bunny, 7 Darkwing Duck, 6 Mickey Mouse, 5 Cobra Commander, 4 Pinky and the Brain, 3 Optimus Prime, and 2 is Megatron. I think that my list... Yeah, so actually all those would be up one number, technically, because I put something in the wrong order. But anyways, so I only had 99 of 100 listed, based on the way I had it down. But yeah, so that's kind of... In Megatron I had from Beast Wars, but anyways, still, it doesn't matter. Overall, that was kind of my list I'd thrown together. So yeah, I'd be kind of curious to see what people think about it. I'm sure there'll be some hate for the Transformers being so close to the top. And there was no superheroes, no DC Comics, no Marvel, so that kind of made a difference too. Because I probably would have had some of those in there close to the top 10. But it kind of weeded things out, so I had to choose from other franchises and other things. So that was kind of cool. So yeah, I've gotten into changing gears a little bit. I've gotten into playing with Legos again. And it's been a while since we've talked about Legos themselves. But the thing that I find interesting about them is when you've built with them for so long, it's hard not to I remember some of the kits I built that I owned as a kid that I no longer have. And I'm sitting there and my son's asking me to build him stuff, and I have no clue what I'm doing. We bought these massive sets from yard sales. My wife is a yard sailor, hardcore in the summer, and she finds awesome deals. She paid $60 and got these sets that at least one of the sets cost $60 on its own. And there's various Batman and Star Wars and Ninja Turtles and aliens and space and blah blah blah, all different kinds of kits for stuff. And plus the actual plain bricks that I had from a giant transformer that I made years ago that turned into a jet that was probably about knee high. He was about Metroplex size when I built him, and so I was building with these bricks, and I've built him a couple of ducks, penguins, out of the pieces, and they look a little funky, but they're pretty cool looking. And maybe I'll show those off and do a live stream come episode 185. So I've done that. I've made him a couple of crazy looking jet things. I made a jet from scratch, just came up with it on my own. Looks pretty sweet. Looks like something like a shield jet type of thing. And then I made him a helicopter based off of one I had as a kid. And I didn't have all the pieces, but I still had a couple of the original actual parts because when I was a kid, when I started getting older, I started putting all my special pieces in bags, or I incorporated them into my giant transformer. And so I was able to rebuild this airplane for him, and he was stoked. And it's like a double-winged, like, early 1900s, like, biplane. Looks pretty sweet. And it's multicolored, and there's, like, a couple pieces off, but it's still basically the same thing. It looks the same. And then I remembered a couple of the old Spirus, like, because I have the Spirus... I'm gonna have to pull up the names of them real quick, but I have the Scout Raycon vehicle. I had like 2 of those. I have most of the parts to it still, to where I could rebuild it, but in between what he's got and what I've got, and then I had the Robo Guardian, which I still have. It's fully intact. That's the only, like, one of the few kits I have that are not, like, destroyed. And with that, I could rebuild the Raycon robot, which comes from the Spirus set. But I chose not to out of that because, one, I love that robot, and it's the first thing I built with my dad, so it's got a special place. So I sat down and I was trying to figure out, and I made the head from scratch. Like, I found pieces that you could stick on the front and the back of it. I remembered most of the head and most of the stomach from memory. But I couldn't build the rest of it, and I couldn't figure out what I was missing and what it consisted of. And so I'm sitting there, and since that time, I've built 3 of the robot head, 2 for him, 1 for me, and then I have most of the original parts for the head, and then in a lot of the special pieces I had still, and they were in other kits, and I've rebuilt most of the robot for him and for myself. So I've got almost 2 copies of this robot. Mine is more closer to the original. I'm missing the wheels on it, and I'm missing an entire arm and half of another arm to this thing in the little box that opens up in the front. But everything else is like exact. And it's crazy the amount I remembered from memory that was wrong. And then I looked up the instructions online, and I was like, oh, I need that piece. Oh, I need that piece. So yeah, it's been fun rediscovering Legos with my kids. Definitely brings me back to earth and makes me feel like a kid again. So it's very fun for me. So I guess, like, before I round out this episode, I'm planning on doing a lot more video stuff. I know I've been saying that for quite some time, but I've actually got the wheels in motion this time. And it's one of those things that I've wanted to do, but lack the follow through and the time to do it. So I'm thinking that I'm going to dedicate, like, even if it's like 5-10 minutes at a time, and record these and plan them out, and maybe take one of the topics from this show or one of the headlines and talk about those. But it's been something I've wanted to do. I just haven't known what I want to do. So I do plan on doing a lot more live streaming. I might actually start live streaming this show so that people can watch it unedited a few days before it actually airs on the podcast feeds. Kind of like when we experimented a few years ago. But before I go, I'm going to talk about a couple more news articles that popped up since I did the previous conversation before the break. One of them is, I was talking with my wife about trading spaces, and she's been wanting to watch the show because, like, right now she's on this kick of watching The Biggest Loser on Hulu because there's really nothing on TV she wants to watch. With us toning down a lot of what we watch, it's been hard to find things to watch. I still watch a lot of my superhero stuff, but there's a lot of shows I've kind of cut out too. So, but anyways, we were commenting that out of all the shows online, this is one of the ones that you can't find anywhere. You can't watch it on YouTube. You can't watch it on Hulu. You can't watch it on Amazon. You can't watch it on Netflix. It doesn't exist. There's no episodes of it anywhere. You can't even buy them. Like, it's ridiculous. So we were commenting about it, and I come back into my office to go to work after getting back from class, and one of the first headlines I see is Trading Spaces is coming back to TLC after 10 years, but they don't know who's going to host it or who's going to be in it. But still, the fact it's coming back is actually kind of cool because to see modern technology and modern designs come into the fold of these shows is going to be actually pretty cool. I'm very much looking forward to this because whether I stay in this house and don't move, or whether I move and get a new house, it will be informative to attempt. So I'm looking forward to this a little bit. I used to watch a little bit with my wife when it was on TV before it got canceled, but it wasn't like a thing that I had to see. It was just kind of neat. So, yeah. In the land of superheroes again, sorry to do this to you guys, but the Flash's costume is getting an update. In the episode The Once and Future thing, or Future Flash, where they're going to have him go to the future and he's going to see future him and talk to him, and he's got a new suit in the future with like more lightning bolt stuff on him, very much akin to the comics. So, and the suit will be a little bit brighter, so it's going to be pretty neat to see that in action and how that transpires. The next DCEU movie that's going to be coming out that apparently has Joss Whedon is directing a solo film of Batgirl. Now, which incarnation remains to be seen. I'm just wondering how that's going to handle. Although, if anybody can handle a strong female lead, it would be him. So we'll see what happens. But it would be nice to have the Bat family joining the DCEU because it could use it, actually. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. So what do you guys think about this episode's headlines and topics? What would you guys like to see in the next episode? Just leave it in the comment section. Be sure to like and comment on iTunes, please. Just haven't had any new reviews in a few years, so just looking forward to reading that stuff on the air, and we'll catch you next week with a few new topics, and might have Mike the Birdman Dodd and TFG1 Mike back. We'll play a little game of Plan the Movie. So, until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Auto Geeks.